What's your funniest memory of working with Martin Starr on Silicon Valley?
I love Martin Starr. We're going to his wedding. By the time this comes out, he'll have gotten married. You know, honestly, it was interesting. Funniest, I don't know. Funniest. I mean, we laughed so much on that show. You know, it's weird because for all of us, it was like our first gig, except for Martin, who had done Freaks and Geeks, and he'd done a bunch of like Judd Apatow stuff. So he'd done Party Down. He'd done a bunch of great stuff.
Yeah.
And when he was shooting, he was like, you know, it's never like this. But it was all our first job. We were like, oh, whatever. It's always like this. Where you like get along and it's a funny and fun show that you would like even if you weren't in it. And then now that it's been a few years, I'm like, fucking Martin was so right. It's rarely like that.
I did, my friend Elizabeth Rosenbaum, that's her name now. She got married to a Rosenbaum, but it wasn't part of my family. She did this short film. She won like the Jack Nicholson Award for her short film, but she asked me to be in it. So I said, sure. She wrote me this letter and I said, absolutely. And Martin was the kid that I pick on in the movie. It's called Eyeball Eddie.
Oh, I know. He's a wrestler.
He's a wrestler.
Yeah.
And we did that little short and we got along and laughed a lot. And the next thing I know, he's in the Judd Apatow and Freaks and Geeks, and it took off. And I watched him at the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool. It's cool to see that.
Yeah. He's, you know, it's interesting because all the rest of us came from comedy into acting. Martin, who's very funny, came from acting. He came from like serious acting background. So it was interesting to see the different approaches. And I learned a lot from Martin. And actually, Martin gave me some very good acting advice because he knew that I wanted to be good and this was really important to me. And if my only regret is for the first like 3 years or so, I wish I'd been more present and not so like in my own head and freaking out, that I could learn from him more. You know, it was towards the end of it where I felt finally open enough and not like threatened enough to really like learn from him. I wish I'd learned more, but he's really, you know, he's one of those where you're like, he's barely doing anything in the scene.
I know.
And then you
like
watch
mumbling almost.
Yeah, and then you watch it again and it's fucking hilarious.
It's so funny.
Yeah, you put it in front of a crowd and he's killing.
Yeah, it's like throws in a way like that.